Hello, welcome, people who are doing DRs with the games group. So we have a few items on the agenda. First is to introduce students who are doing their own projects, and if they need people to work with them, to get volunteers for them. The second thing is just to go over general requirements for the DR for the term. It's pretty light. Typically just a proposal that just gets like a yes or no or please revise. And the proposal just has what you're going to do for the term, which should include a report like no more than 5 pages and a demo by the end. So that's just for every project, students' projects and the ongoing projects that we have. And that'll be the last part of what we talk about here for people who haven't signed up with other students to do projects. The Gamepipe Lab has several ongoing projects that always need people to help do research and programming, prototyping, things like that. So we'll be going over all those, and people who are in charge of each one will be giving more details on each one. So first, how many students here are doing their own project for DR? Who have an idea for a project that they want to do for DR that isn't one of the Gamepipe ones? That's like, I want to make a mobile game and I want a few people to help me with it. Is anyone in that position here? Okay, so you guys are working on what?
So we are basically working on a game, a scenario-based game focused on dyslexic people. So it's basically an interactive game where a child has to choose a character, and then he goes through various scenarios interacting with various objects, and then he faces a few challenges, maybe like spelling challenges or direction challenges, which he has to answer, and if he answers them correctly, he gets points. And those challenges are focused on dyslexic children. For instance, he clicks on, he sees an apple, he clicks on an apple, and then he's told to spell the word apple, and we'll give him 4 options, which will basically be focused on the errors that he makes mostly, and then if he chooses the wrong option, he'll know, okay, that is the wrong one. And then so on, he'll go on playing the game, he'll go through various scenarios, getting points, and then he'll be rewarded on basis of those points. That's what we have in mind, roughly.
Okay. And how many people do you think you might need for that effort?
We are 2 of us are already there, so maybe like 3 or 4. So we are basically making this game for iPad-like devices.
Okay. So you need 2 or 3 people more who are interested in working in mobile platforms and for a game for dyslexia. So okay. Great. And yourself?
I think I misinterpreted much of your question, but
okay.
I would want to work on web-based game because I was more interested in the kind of projects that we do in the CS 526 course.
Okay.
Yeah. So
well, if you're interested in working in a 526 team, you could just come on Wednesdays to the 526 class and work with the team.
Yes.
Yeah, and just put that towards your DR.
You also could pitch to the 526 class, or if you don't get enough people there.
I'm there in the 526 class. So
Oh, you're in there. So, so how many people do you have?
We have 2 of us right now.
2 of us. If you want more people, pitch to there tomorrow.
Okay.
Also, I have a question about the groups. There are 2 classes for 526, right?
There's one for Scott on Monday and one for me on
So
Wednesday.
is it okay if you work with either like teams in either of the classes? Or
It's totally okay. Just like if you're working with Scott, tell him, or me, in a team there, or working with me, tell him.
Okay. So let me just get I have your email address, and so I'll put you on the list of people, like how many are needed, and people can email you to sign up for that.
Thanks.
So, okay. So now we can go over the projects that are already going on at Gamepipe. So the main system that we're using right now is something called Intelligence Explorer that we helped create over the summer, and has lots of potential applications. some general features might be necessary to add on to it. It's built in Unity 3D, and if you have experience programming in that, that would be helpful. Also, the applications might require some different knowledge of programming, but might also be like a non-programming thing. Like you might end up doing like a literature survey or ideas for prototypes of other applications. So the first project that we're working on is an intelligent tutoring application. And it's going to be based on the Intelligence Explorer. Let me describe the general basis of the Intelligence Explorer. It's a data-driven visualization and simulation system. So it gets data mostly from the users in the form of text files or other standard data formats. And it goes through a process of combining that data and making it kind of visualizable. And then the Unity system either builds 3D models of the information or icons by default, and sets up a framework so that you can filter out the data you want to see and that you don't want to see, and also sets up the stage for simulations. And so that's where like the AI part of things can come in. Like if you're building a system that can do, for instance, the intelligent tutoring, we have some ideas behind that. There are ways to design behavioral algorithms so that you can have kind of enemy AI or collaborative AI. So there's a lot to the Intelligence Explorer that can go into this intelligent tutoring system. The domain for the intelligent tutoring application is for analysts to be able to come up with hypotheses about a situation and refine their information as they go along. They collaborate with each other, they collaborate with an instructor. So the setting is the USC campus, and the scenario is there's a rogue antenna transmitting illegal information like credit card fraud somewhere on the campus, and how do they go about finding it? And they make these guesses, and they might be missing some information, and the intelligent tutor would say, oh, you're missing this, or you made that up and you can't really infer that. So there's going to be some AI involved. There's going to be a lot of the kind of agent modeling and scenario modeling. So that's probably the main thing that the Intelligence Explorer people would be working on. Poen, do you want to say anything more about the features of Intelligence Explorer? No. Okay. So something else that we worked on in the past, like the system that we built before the Intelligence Explorer was called Cosmopolis, and that's mainly a done deal at this point. However, Hashem is doing an experiment based on one of the games in Cosmopolis called Warpipe. You want to say a little more about that?
Okay, so my research mainly is focused on machine learning for detecting behaviors of players, and focusing on detecting aimbots or cheats. I mean, like generally cheats, but like focusing on aimbots. So I need to get the features for detecting the behavior that make me differentiate between normal behavior or a cheater. And for that, I will need to develop a first-person shooter, an online first-person shooter. And we have Cosmopolis, we have Warpipe, which is part of Cosmopolis. It's already built, but we need to figure that to make, make it log. I mean, I need the log system for getting the features. So we need to log data, log behaviors of the players using the Warpipe.
Yeah.
So mainly the main focus is using the log data to design that, or to use my algorithm for behavior.
Yeah. So in terms of the skills you might need to work on this project, Cosmopolis was designed on top of the XNA framework in C#, and so there's a lot of networking involved. There's it's like pretty heavy on the animations and rendering. There's an interesting logging system that we use so that all the players' movements can be logged at like any granularity as long as the network supports it. And there's also a lot of interesting possibilities for agent development in Cosmopolis. Like it's a pretty rich framework, but it takes a little bit of a learning curve. Warpipe is one of the simpler applications in there, so it should be like fairly easy to spin up if you have some C# background and some game design background. Let's see. Photos? Is there anything going on with Teamit that?
I'm not sure right now. We're planning on continuing and expanding the possibilities and adding more agents to it because we don't have agents right now. But I haven't told Luhan for time, so I don't know exactly how it's going on right now.
All right.
I know Chow's working on something, but that's a mobile game that they're making.
Okay,
that's
so
not
it's a
using
separate thing
Cosmopolis.
entirely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Well, we can go over like more stuff to do with Cosmopolis, like offline. Professor Zaida has
Oh, yes.
a pitch for like an idea that we've recently sent a patent out for.
Right. Okay, so Mark and I have a patent that is almost there. It's in publication mode, which what the patent office does is when they believe it's looking likely that they're going to award it, they put it out into a publication that looks like a patent. It's called Integrated News Feeds for an MMOG. And the idea behind that patent is you have AI characters whose behaviors are influenced by news feeds that come across the internet. Okay, that's kind of strange, right? Which is, so one of them might be, you could have a character who's just kind of walking around, and then when he sees the word terror bombing coming across, like CNN.com, it comes maybe from an RSS feed, it comes into the game and it makes the character jumpy. He starts to be all nervous and hiding and stuff like that. And we actually want someone to build a demo of this for us. Right? I have a friend who has a company. It's called Trend Spotter, TRENDSPOTTR. His name is Alan Genet. And what his company does is they have a deal with Twitter. Is they read all Twitter feeds, and so everything you ever tweet goes through his company. And what he does is he produces a top 100 list. What are the top 100 things people are talking about online on Twitter? And that's kind of cool. So I'm looking at this is if we can get a connection to his feed, or we can get a connection to, say, stock market numbers. I was initially thinking stock market numbers because, right now Apple Computer is like a really big company. It's like the biggest company ever. And so I kind of think I'd love to have in my 3D world a virtual character that looks like Steve Jobs. Okay, and he's really big in relation to the number of dollars Apple Computer is worth that day on the stock market, or that minute on the stock market. And then you put in other companies like Hewlett Packard, which is like crash burning. And what I like is the character. Actually, I was thinking of Lego characters. So they look like little Lego people, and so the Lego people are dressed out in the logo and the color scheme of the company. All right, so maybe they all look the same, and they're bigger depending on the size of the company. So initial thought would be a simple thing is, can we read stock market data for like companies that we select, and have these little virtual characters that change their behaviors. If their stock is going up, they get jumpy and jumping and real happy. When their stock is going down, they're kind of grumpy and walking around.
How does it sound like that if a company was to take over another company, you'd see Lego characters eating one another?
Oh, that would be so awesome. That would be so awesome. But anyway, I'm just thinking, probably many of you don't remember the internet boom, probably back in the late 90s. And everybody who was working for me at the time had a stock market ticker on their workstation. And every day they're looking, can I afford to quit? Go to the Bahamas and live forever after. I'm very interested in having a stock market ticker-like app that sits up there that is virtual characters that are reacting to news feeds, like like stock market data or the headlines off of the CNN.com webpage. It's like when that webpage changes, all of a sudden we throw a new character in there and he's got some kind of behaviors. So there's kind of three parts. One is we have to build an infrastructure that reads the news. And I think we built one, didn't we?
Yeah, mod build, part of one.
We have part of one that we can use. I'm thinking that there's like an authoring component, which is I specify my interests. Maybe I'm interested in Apple Computer, Facebook, terrorism. Lindsay Lohan, you know, poor girl, she's been accused of stealing watches today. Again, this girl is in trouble. We should have picture, you know, we should have her in there, and maybe she has a box of watches today as part of this. And then on the behavior box, I want to call it the behavior box project. And what you visually see is these Lego virtual characters, and we play with the size of them, their movements, their physical depictions of behavior based on my interests crossed with the filtered stream is going to be their behaviors and the virtual characters to display. It's kind of a crazy idea, but I think it will be very interesting if we build this. So if anybody's interested, I'm very interested. All right.
Okay, great. So speaking of crazy ideas, the next project I want to introduce is what we're calling Project Phoenix. And that's just kind of like a satellite repair sim, at least at base. And the object is to create realistic robots that fly around in space, repairing other satellites and doing other tasks like that. So this will require setting up of microphysics or microgravity physics environment and setting up of the degrees of movement of a robot and the capabilities of its repair. And so if people are interested in that, it's probably going to be developed for a mobile game platform. And
iPad.
yeah, iPad. And in Unity, is that what you've been working on? So Jesse's been working on that somewhat to begin
Since this
with.
morning.
And so we need other people to do it. I should probably take this time to mention that the DR projects are as much, if not more, about like the students' interest, like taking things in the direction you want, as it is about like being subscribed to a particular like set of tasks that we assign. It's like whatever you want to do in these areas with guidance, or even without, is fine. So we're just offering up these projects, and we'll be seeing who wants to work on what, and it really doesn't have to be like something that we tell you exactly what to do. So we're hoping that people come up with groups of their own and ideas of their own, and that fall into the various areas that we're describing, or areas that you've just been inspired by other classes or learning to do yourselves. So the next item is the social game network.
Alright, so last semester I had the pleasure of taking Professor Scott's social game class, and what we realized in that class is social game is a lot of work. It's like mobile game, but you also need server, you need to do database, you need to do a lot of stuff. And there are some of us that just, well, some of us actually want to build server and database and whatnot. Other of us just want to actually build a game. So what I'd like to do is start building like a framework that other people can use. So you have these different tools and components that you can plug and play and use using your own mobile game and social game project. So that will be the gist of the social game framework. And to show off the capability, then we will actually have a social game RPG that we'd like to build. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah. And something else that we're working on, this is actually a topic of my dissertation research, is an emotional cognitive agent that has the capability to reason about a particular scenario, like say it's a nuclear power plant operator, and it has to shut it down because there's a malfunction. And so what if it had emotions that either helped it make gut reaction decisions if there's no time left, or what if the emotions got in the way sometimes. So it's a question of like, you know, how do emotions affect cognition in a scenario that you know, is critical. And so what I'm putting together is kind of like a very, very limited Turing test application where if you have a person trying to shut down the nuclear power plant at a virtual console, and the system, the EmoCog system, is doing the same task, can people tell the difference between the emotional robot and a person doing it? And on the other side, you have an emotionless robot doing it that hopefully won't get mistaken for human. So there's that, and the other scenario is just a narrative situation. It might be like a fantasy game. I haven't decided on the exact scenario, but it revolves around conversational choices that you make when you have particular emotions running through you, and how like a social interaction might go with or without emotions involved. And so those are the two scenarios, situations that want to code up and be able to run experiments on. This is short term. The dissertation material I want to have ready by like mid to late November, and then we can talk about other tasks to do in that arena after that. But so that would be very helpful. The last thing is, if people are interested in the healthcare arena, the public health policy group has given us some directives to do a prototype of a game that involves building a hospital and optimizing like an intensive care unit. And how do you go about like placing equipment, and what do you put there that's like useful to have with, if you have like 3 pieces already there, are you going to get redundant, or are you going to get like synergy out of the next piece you put in, and where does it go? So there's that, and it's very, right now it's very like newborn as far as the ideas that are coming out of it, but any ideas to do with healthcare and games and simulations, I'm going to be running that one, so if you want to talk to me about it, that can go in a lot of different ways. So anyway, that's the list, I think. So what I want to do now is, Jesse, would you be okay handling people to come up to talk about the Project Phoenix? Okay, so if you want to talk to one of us who've spoken about particular projects, we can, put you up on this roster or a piece of paper to get groups together. And then we can start, once we have groups together, we can start working within the groups to assign group and individual tasks to get your proposals underway. I want to have these in sometime next week. It shouldn't be that long, it should be like 1 page at most. And get people on their way. So let's see, Hashem is doing, just to recap, the Warpipe experiment with behavioral and detection and data logging. Jesse is working on the Project Phoenix, which is the satellite robot sim. Professor Zaida is working on the integrated news feeds. Poen is working on the social game framework. Jerry Lynn, and I'm kind of his proxy right now, is, and Poen also, working on the intelligent tutoring application for the Intelligence Explorer. Poen and I are both working on Intelligence Explorer generally. And Balky is too, right?
And what?
You're working on Intelligence Explorer too, right?
Sure.
Excellent. So, and I'm doing the hospital game and the emo cognitive agent. So, let's see. I think that's it. So if people want to just come up to one of us and give your name and email address, and we can put you down in a particular group and get started.
Great.